Good evening once again. It's me, Curtis Henry, your moderator for Caribbean Feedback. I see everyone here looking very chirpy this evening. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
We're good. We're good. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
I am good. I am good. So happy to have you here again, Mr. Archer, all the way from Delaware.
That's right. That's right.
Chase on the other side of Florida. Now, he lives in that part of Florida. That's not where you really call Florida. Over here, Miami side, this is, when people say Florida, this is what we're talking about. He over there in Tampa, that's a different thing, a different something.
You know people in Tampa, you know they just call South Florida? It's not South Florida, that's North Cuba.
Okay. What?
That's North Cuba. And then they call this Florida. And what's above here in Tampa, they call LA, Lower Alabama.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, welcome. How's the weather on your side of town?
Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. It's raining cats and dogs over here, man. Like beautiful the old folks used to say, rain falling, bucket a drop. That's how big the drop's coming down.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Miss Forrester, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
And as usual, we have the latecomers now coming into the class when class has begun. Hey, all remember, you know, you always have one child in class.
Dr. Judy, turn on the lamp, no man.
It always have one child in class who always come into school late.
Up a little bit. Up a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah. The
That's right. That's right.
Look, she did.
Dr. Judith, I know you have a lovely house. I'm sure of it. You don't have an extra light in the place, man. Like a portable light.
There are two humongous lights over me, a fluorescent one and a big one on the table. What you want from me?
So you said, man. So you
on your face. Light shining.
No one's in my face. I want to show you on my painting. Can you see my painting?
Why didn't you put it in front of your okay, I'm trying to see.
Judith. Oh God, you see she gone. You see when people like to show up? You see the show start good until she walked in the room.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, the show started good.
No glitches. No glitches. Keep it up. No glitches.
Last time she jumped off the chair. Everybody thought she fell down.
Come back. No, here she is. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Judith, you'll have a chance to show that later on, easy, man. Are you sure?
To me, I just feel like get it out the way.
Oh, well, get it out the way.
Your blouse and skirt, left me alone.
Oh gosh.
While you're all at it, we want to say good night. Good night to Lucy O'Brien. Good night to Sherry Ann. Thanks for tuning in. The rest of you who are looking on, jump into the chat, say something to us.
Please jump into the chat.
Now, Sam.
Yes, sir.
You see that woman there hiding under that O'Brien name? I know her as Lucy Lara. She's a kin, some relation to
Brian Lara.
Brian Lara, world famous cricketer. Brian Lara.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say I knew Brian, but I met him when he was just a little boy, probably around 9-10 years old, around there. So yeah, I knew him back around those years when he was just a little boy. And I knew Lucy also from Santa Cruz in Trinidad. Now she is Mrs. O'Brien. Wear the name proudly, my dear. Wear it proudly. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Caribbean Feedback. Let's keep this going. Let's talk about it really quick. Miss Forrester, tell us who you are and what it is you do. Quickly, please.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Karen Forrester with BantuKreations. BantuKreations, African Creations offers, African-inspired, beautiful jewelry, very lightweight, handcrafted, one-of-a-kind pieces. BantuKreations can be found on IG, BantuKreations on IG, and BantuKreations on Facebook. Back to you.
Mr. Mark Chase.
Mark Chase. Chase Audit Services. You have an issue, you have a problem, we're the people to solve it for you. Back to you, sir.
Short and sweet. Short and sweet.
Anywhere the people could find you?
At the moment, our website is down. That should be up tomorrow. We're also creating a new company, Rap Chase Creations, which is going to be another audit company that will be exclusively government audits.
I think I have a client for you, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Oh no, we don't accept thieves and robbers. I'm sorry, I have standards. I have standards, sir.
Dr. Judith, talk to me.
Hello, folks. Good evening to all. I am I do a lot of things. I help a lot of people. I counsel, I write, I paint. I have a couple books that I've published in the past. Not last year. I published 3 books in 2018, and I published one recently about my paintings. And I paint a lot. I have over 200 paintings in my house right now, and I'm selling my paintings. I don't want to see that bottle, Sam. And
you know what's the funny thing? Since we started the show, we had that bottle there, and it's at the
I don't want to see that glass either.
Exactly at the same spot.
And so there's a lot of things that I do. One of the most important things I do is I work with special needs children. And that's a great part of my life. It's a rewarding thing to do. People that are dependent on you, and yet these kids, I think I prefer them to most adults because they're the real thing. So, but my painting is taking a big place in my life now. And as I'm selling them, I'm also making greeting cards out of my paintings.
Okay.
So I'll be selling those soon. I'm just starting to order them so I can start selling them in packages. So,
tell me, Dr. Judah, do you work with special needs adults?
Special needs adults are too much for me. And it depends on what kind of needs you're talking about, too.
Okay. I done.
I'm not here. I gotta let that go.
Mr.
Asher. Man, I was just stunned there, man. I hear it. I was really stunned. I said, Anyway, good night, everyone. How y'all doing? It's a pleasure to see all of you this evening. You've made it through another week. How lovely, lovely. And this is episode number 5 and
553.
553.
I say 5 plus 5 plus.
Yeah.
All right.
You mean 13?
Episode 13. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Episode 13.
Yes, sir.
And we want to thank our audience. So we have Alan Emmanuel is on. Good night. And what do? I am a new author of The Hybrid Executive, and this is great for independent musicians on the come up. You want to read this and get your game up. And I'm also from Muzilog.com. And visit us. We have new releases of artists, articles, lovely couple of things over there. And I'm getting some folks. So Sherry-Ann is laughing at me. Okay, thank you very much, Sherry-Ann. And Mr. Allen is, I don't know, are those fists? Are those hand fists? Or there's pots of food or something? I don't know what that is. And then he says, great book. Thank you, sir. Great book. And we want to encourage the rest of the folks in the chat. Send us a line and all of that good stuff. Back to you, Mr. Curtis Henry.
Yes, sir. I am Curtis Henry, the host, producer of Caribbean Chatt. On Caribbean Chatt, we showcase Caribbean people of excellence who have attained worldwide popularity. Look us up on Caribbean Chatt. That's chat with 2 T's on YouTube. And make certain that you give us a thumbs up subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. I also like to urge each and every one of you listening to this program right now, go to YouTube, Caribbean Feedback, subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button, get the numbers up. And we need you to leave some feedback on your thoughts, your ideas for the show. If you have any ideas that you'd like to hear us discuss, put it on there. Leave it in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know we're doing a good job. So hopefully folks can show up on time for when we begin. It's beautiful that you're...
So what are you want?
That's what she said.
What are you want?
We're not going to throw shade this evening.
That's all right.
That's coming for the debate tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I'm leaving early tonight anyway.
It's interesting that we all introduce ourselves, but at the beginning of the program and spoke about what we do. And right now, I'd like to take it a little further for us to continue this discussion. Not so much talking about yourselves. I do want you all to speak about yourselves, but I'd like for us to ask each other questions. Our topic for this evening is, why do you do what you do? Whether it's your profession, whether it's just the job that you do, whether it's habits, bad habits that we may possess in life, crutches that we may hold on to, holding on to negative vibes, holding on to past infractions that maybe have made against us, blaming parents, whatever it is. Why do we do what you do? Some people are still blaming parents for decisions that we are making as adults today. We get fixated on excuses and walk around all our lives using a crutch, hopping from here to there, blaming, oh, well, I didn't graduate from college, so that's why I can't hold on a good job. Right? Well, in high school, my teacher didn't like me, so that's why I didn't learn. We need to stop. We need to stop. Why do you do the things you do? Not just us here, but people in general. Sam, let me start. You presented a book this evening.
Yes, sir.
Something came into you that you decided I need to write a book. There are other books out there talking about music. Why you decided to do that? Why you decided to write a book?
I need to figure that out. I need to figure that out.
I can't. Really, Sam.
So, to bring it back, it was something that I fell into, you know. If you've had a chance to check out the interviews, I guess, you know, even if you didn't have a chance to check out interviews, it really started out as a pamphlet. It was really supposed to be like a little pamphlet, and it grew from that stage. And then but the driving force was the fact that I like to, if I start something, I like to complete it. You know, I hate trying to start something and it goes nowhere. So I like when I'm starting something that even welcome back, Mark. I like when I'm starting something, I can actually work on it, and you know, it's not something that I have to rush either. You know, so as in reference to the book, this book took like almost 20 years to you know to get done, but it was done little by little and in phases. And the thing with this was not to be discouraged about it. There were times when I wish I'm kind of I had enough of this, but you know, those were temporary moments, you know, and the quest to go forward is what you know, the quest was there, but the why, like, you know, what was in that push, or what was in that drive to complete it, I have to figure that out. That part I have to figure out, the deep portion of the why.
What was it that motivated you to write the book, though? You have any idea what was your motivation?
Well, I'm passionate about the subject. So the being passionate about it was one thing, but people actually started asking me questions. So, for example, what part of why I started to do the pamphlet was that I had this group, this gospel group, and we did a couple of things, and we ended up having a single on the radio. And we had a gospel fraternity in the New York area, and so a lot of the different groups are like, yo, how you guys got your music here, and what did you guys do for that, and so on and so on. And I would be on the phone for a long time telling this one and telling that one, and I had this bright idea, why don't I just create a pamphlet, right? And then so it sort of grew from trying to put a pamphlet together, and I realized the pamphlet wouldn't hold everything in there. So from that, it was a progression. So I guess it was a part of. I'm sorry?
No, I was going to ask Karen, how did she come about what she's doing now? How?
Oh, okay.
What was that long? Was it a transformation, a sudden idea? What? How did you arrive where you're at?
Who are you speaking to?
Talk for a second. I don't think
you, Karen.
Yeah, he
no,
asked,
because we all, I don't know if everybody's aware, we all faded out. So there was a like a white zone for a little bit. So I didn't hear the question. We all faded out. So it's a StreamYard issue.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
What was the question?
Welcome back.
No, I was interested, as Samuel was explaining how he arrived. How did you arrive? You're in a creative endeavor. How did you arrive there? How did you develop what you're doing now?
And this question is directed to whom?
To you, Karen.
To me. Yeah. I'm not listening, I'm still not get that one there. I never know what I mean. Okay. You mean this particular platform?
This particular platform.
Those two gentlemen.
Creative endeavors are different.
Where are they? These two gentlemen on your left, Mr. Archer and Mr. Henry, just one day just pulled me into their conversation. And before I knew it, I was doing an introductory episode. And then they were talking about, okay, let's on future topics. There was no ceremony at all to this whole process. There was no contractual anything. They just, reeled me in. That was it. I didn't even know I could, do this because, I'm very, very shy at times. But, Miss say, can you believe it? Miss say. But they just pulled me in, literally. They just pulled me in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How may I be of service? Yes, sir.
You seem to have lived a full life in terms of some of the things. You went from nursing. For how many years you functioned as a nurse?
22.
Okay. What made you get into nursing in the first place? You like blood? You like looking at the insides of people? Why?
No.
I don't understand people. No, medical professionals, they are necessary in society. But I do not understand how some people can do that, tending to sick people all day. And it takes a special type of person to get into that job. Why you do the things you do?
Agreed. And the person who enters for the wrong reason regrets it very, very quickly. If they think there's any glamour to it. The nursing part, I remember being about 9 or 10, seeing an older lady. She may have been in her late 70s, 80s, early 80s, walking across the street by herself, humped over, severe kyphosis. That spine is just bent in the upper third of the back. And she was just having I just remember feeling like I have to help her. I have to help people who are in need physically. Mentally, not so much. I don't really touch the mental health people too tough. I can't. But physically, I could help you. Yes, I want to help you if you're in need. If you can help yourself, we have a different conversation. But yeah, I wanted to just be of service. And that is my entire thing with this particular show, to be of entail. We're all fading out from time to time.
Karen, please, I want you to ask this question, because if I ask it, I don't think it will be received too well. Could you ask that other lady there for me, please, why she do the things she do?
Dr. Judith. Dr.
Yes.
Judith.
Yes.
Why do you do what you do, Dr. Judith?
I don't know what I do. What do I do?
You help the mentally impaired, like your friend above. You've helped him out for years. You know, you help children who are physically and probably mentally a little bit impaired as well. You've worked in several areas where you've been of service. So please explain to us, why do you do what you do?
Let me make it very dramatic. Let me just make it dramatic and add to it. No, in all seriousness, I believe that we're all born with stuff inside of us, and our situations, depending on what situations we are in, it's like a magnet. It pulls to the situation inside of you. And so I believe I was born a helper. I like to help. It's something that comes very, very natural to me. And I've always been curious about why people think the way they do. So mental health was easy for me. Obviously, I'm drawn to it, and I'm very good. And this is I boast in Christ. When I say things like this, I seriously, I'm not boasting about myself, because I'm always amazed that I am who I am. Always amazed at the things that I do. I don't take any of it to like, oh, I'm so wonderful. I'm always amazed. But I have a gift for being able to encourage people, and I have been around people who are just down. And if you work in a prison, I used to work in a prison for 10 years, counseling male inmates. Now, if you talk about being down and not feeling done, whatever, your stuff gets put aside when you're facing people that are in prison for 20 years, 40 years, life sentence. And so I remember one day I wasn't feeling quite as strong as I normally do, and one of the inmates came into my room office for counseling. I said, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not up to it today. I have nothing to offer you. I'm not up to it. And I'm very direct with people, very honest with people. And he looked at me and he said, well, maybe I can help you today. And it was one of the best counseling sessions I've ever had. And in the process, I got something, and I always get something out of counseling. Always. But I also believe that every time you give for the right motives, and that's very important to me. There are people who give, I have to give. No, you don't have to give me anything. Be careful of the reason why you want to give me something. So the motives, I like to help people, but I want to be careful about my motives, because I have a couple of friends who they do something for you and they want you to broadcast it to the world, and they want you to tell them, remember I did it, and I said, oh, listen, you did it, leave it alone. So but that's counseling for me is it's just me, it's just who I am. And I also love humor. I love laughter, and I have there are people that I know will say, Judy, come by and give me some jokes. Now, I don't go with the people to hear some jokes. I just go around and whatever I find, because human beings are very funny to me, crazy and funny. So does that make sense what I'm saying? You're getting this, what I'm saying?
Yes.
So basically that's what I mean. As a writer now, it is awesome to write. I love writing. I mean, I have a book that it is a compilation of a whole bunch of thoughts I've had over 20-something years. And writing is a powerful thing. And now painting, if I could stay home and get paid full-time for it, I would do it. So, and I can say all of this, I say, I am extremely fortunate. I've always, and no matter, let me tell you, I've done housework, I've done domestic work, I've done all sorts of stuff. And it doesn't matter what I do, I'm always able to have a good time doing it. And I'm grateful for that. That's it.
But is everyone here on the panel right now walking in their purpose, doing the thing that they felt? Yes. Doing the thing that they felt.
I don't know if there's an answer to that question. That's a very open. Open-ended question. To me, it's a very open-ended question, sir.
So you telling me then? Hold on, you don't know what your purpose is?
What you do is not necessarily who you are.
Your purpose. Okay.
Your purpose is determined by what's in front of you. If you have 3 kids in front of you, 3 picnic, why eat? Go to work. Shut your mouth. Okay? You're on your own. You may have a different purpose. My cat is raising pain. Your purpose changes with your situation. What you do is not who you are.
Surely does.
But the question is, are you living out who you are? This is the question I'm asking. Whether or not you're walking in your purpose.
Who you are changes with your situation.
What? Sorry.
Who you are changes with your situation. Are you okay, Dr. Judith? Are you the same person right now that you were with your parents? Will you be the same person you are right now 20 years from now?
I'm gonna say that this is a fight I've had over the years with many people. I'm gonna say this. One of the things that is very important to me is to stay, I hate that word, but it's authentic.
Mm-hmm.
There are different people in your life at different times, and you have different experiences with them. But my basic core, my core person doesn't change. Now, I do change in terms of certain things happening to me, my responses and whatever. But let's put it this way. There are people that I know that they'll be in the room talking to you, and they're talking to you about the color. It's a particular yellow. I like to use this analogy. It's a yellow. It's a particular shade of yellow. And somebody else comes in, whether they want to impress the person or whatever, all of a sudden, they put a French word on the yellow that we were talking about before. It changes because they want to impress the people coming in. Whatever yellow
I think I don't mean to interrupt, but I think you're missing what I'm saying. I think you're missing what I'm saying.
Okay, explain to me
then. Is not who you are. So what is your purpose?
Part of who I am. It is a great part of who I am.
In your case.
Yes, it is a great part of who I am.
In your case.
Yeah.
But what you do is not who you are.
So Mark, tell me who you are.
I'm an auditor.
No, that's what you do. Tell me who you are.
Who I am?
Tell me that passion, that thing that if you didn't need money in your life right now, you had, or let's say even for the last 20 years, if you did not need money, that wasn't a factor. Your great-grandfather died and left you $10 million, a room full of money. The minute you take out some, it gets replenished. Hold on, you don't need the money. What would you do with your time?
Right. I'd be an astronomist.
Okay.
I'd
But why can't you do those things?
Not that I don't. It's not that I don't.
Oh,
most of what we do in this life, we fall into. Most of what we do in this life,
so then the answer is you are walking in your purpose. It might not be the majority of the hours out of a day, but you are doing that thing that you're passionate about, aren't you?
I do them anyway. I'm going to do them anyway. That was
my question.
That's not the question. Why, are you
the question is,
your purpose?
If you're walking in your purpose.
You getting any money from your purpose?
Hmm?
You getting any money from your purpose?
Not a dime. Not a dime.
But you're still living it, right? But you're still living it.
But you enjoy it.
Well, I enjoy plenty of things.
Okay.
None of which I make any money from. None of
this guy is he's truly a Sagittarian.
so the what I'm gathering here is that both of you are not wrong. One is, okay, are you walking in your purpose? And the other one would be, okay, based on the circumstances, you're at this stage in your life, regardless if you're in your purpose or not, regardless of what have you. If there are responsibilities, you have to take care of them. Mm-hmm. So where I will go with that is there were certain things I had to change for myself. I remember with my interview with Dr. Henry, I said at one point I was really on the the religious end, and all the way to the left with it, I was more like a monk. So when you have that type of a spirituality, you don't really get a lot of things done, because many of these things may not fall in line to the lifestyle. So some of them you have to sort of bring that balance, and once I start coming back into balance, then I could start achieving certain things. Certain things was achievable. So am I 100% where I would like to be? No, not yet, but I'm working towards it. But I do have circumstances and responsibilities that I have to deal with on the way there. So instead of it being a straight point A to B, there'll be a few hurdles to jump. There'll be a few lakes to swim.
Shark-infested waters.
There might be some shark-infested waters, So you just have, it all depends on where you are at that point. So I think I brought a bridge to where both of you guys were.
Yeah, I think this is a great conversation for younger people.
Wait, hold on. So you and I passed the point that we should talk about these things?
I certainly am. I can't speak for you. Right at the point I ain't talking about nothing.
May I ask a question? May I ask a question, please?
You're not in school. Go ahead. If any of you got I hate this term bucket list, but if any of you right now got a diagnosis that they give you a time and they said you have 6 months to live,
mm-hmm.
What would be your thought about what you'd most like to do? It doesn't have to necessarily be purpose, but because purpose is a very tricky word. But what would you feel you've always wanted to do, you should have done, and let me get it done now?
Dr. Judith, I would tell you that I was a true Guyanese fool in my youth, and everything that I could think of, I did. Probably twice.
Okay.
If I could say one place or one thing I want to do, I saw the Seychelles once in my life. I want to see them again.
What?
The Seychelles. The only place I ever saw black sand.
Where's that?
Islands off between the African coast and the Indian coast.
Okay.
In the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
Like I said, I was a Guyanese fool. If it was to be done, I did it. I did it twice, and most of it was between Eastern Parkway and Fort Hamilton Parkway in Brooklyn. And I can tell you, I did it twice.
But one thing I agree with you on, though, Mark, when you said that in terms of where we fall in life, sometimes I've always been a person that let the chips fall as they may.
Right.
I just allow situations to happen. I came out of the military. I went and I found a job.
Mm-hmm.
When I realized that was a dead-end job, there was nowhere to go within that company. I spoke to one guy who was working there for 9 years, and he was doing the same thing I was doing, operating a machine.
Mm-hmm.
At that very moment, I'd said, this is not for me. I walked back in the company, shut my machine down, didn't even pick up my check, and I went home. Because I knew that was not the job for me.
Mm-hmm.
I bounced. And I had no desire to learn upholstery. I was learning it, but I had no desire. This is not what I wanted to do. Oh, I want to be an upholsterer and I want to make fine furniture. I learned it,
mm-hmm.
and I'm proud to say I am good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I sort of let that fall into place in my life. It is what has put food on my table, take care of my children, keep a roof over my head for close to 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not my life. That's not my passion. That's not what I dream about doing. I'm good at it. Trust me when I tell you, I am good at it. Mm-hmm. But it's not the thing that I love.
We believe you, brother.
It's not what I love. So, so I am still, right now, what I'm doing here, since I've gotten into this YouTubing and doing these shows, I feel comfortable now that I am walking in my purpose, that I'm living my dream, doing some of the things I like to do. Yeah, run my mouth.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's your purpose? What's your
I like
purpose,
to
Curtis?
I like to talk. I like to entertain. I
Really?
like to write.
You like to talk?
Oh
No.
gosh.
You
Sam,
like to talk?
Sam,
Oh,
take
God
that
of
over.
grace.
I
No,
done.
man.
I
No.
done. I done. Talk to where's she at? Over there. Talk to she for me. I done. I done.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hi, Sam. How are you?
How was your day?
It was good.
What you had for
It was
lunch, my
good.
dear?
Oh,
What
we
you
don't
had
care
for
about
lunch?
lunch. Let's talk
Oh
about
my!
No,
let's talk
no,
about why
no,
we do
no.
what we do. Come on, man. Oh
You want to?
gosh,
You
let me
know,
shift
You
the
I
camera.
honestly, I
you
think
want?
this is a very, very good conversation, as I said earlier, for younger people.
But wait,
Because
hold on, Mark.
I don't think
The woman sit down there quiet all the time. Now she start to talk. You interrupt. Let she
and I
talk.
should, and
Let she talk. Let she talk. See what she had to say.
I'm a little bit different from the current panel as far as a little bit. I believe in walking my talk. That's my little term. I don't know where the heck I got it from, but I've been using it for years. Being of service, which Dr. Judith echoed, being of service to an individual, to a community, to my country perhaps. And through the years, when we came up with this topic, I realized that I've been doing it. I haven't been tracking it, but when I started writing things down for this show, I realized I've been doing it. I started volunteering in a hospital. Then I did literacy volunteers in Westchester County, New York for years. When I came to Florida, I did Big Brothers Big Sisters. I did Habitat for Humanity. I did cooperative feeding program in Broward. So I have been doing it. Although the nursing is of course I'm serving people. It's different, you know. But what gave me the most pleasure was being of service to others in the community, in my life, personal life, and around me. That is what gives me the most pleasure. Walking
You know
my talk,
something? You
serving
know something,
others, and
Karen?
as Dr. Judith says, it gives you so much back.
Right.
Yes, sir.
As you're talking,
Go ahead.
you know what came to me? And I started off as a volunteer in Mount Vernon Hospital, Westchester County.
Oh, I'm
What?
from. I know.
Yeah. But as you're talking, something that happened to me a few years ago. I was in my 40s at the time. And I remember thinking, I love chocolate. I love chocolate from anywhere, all over the place. I just love chocolate. And I remember thinking one day, man, what would happen if I was the only person in the world and I had all the chocolate to myself? And I was having this conversation with myself. And I was like, wow, I've had chocolate from France, from all over the world. So I said, okay. And before I could have the thought for very long, you know what came to me? Take a guess.
You'll be diabetic.
Share it.
Your body.
You would
Take a
just sit
guess.
down and look at it. You would just sit down and look at it
No,
because it wouldn't give you any.
I like to share. Who would I share it with?
Right. You want to share it with, and there's nobody to share it with.
There's nobody to share it with. So the thing is that what you're saying, and I think maybe we all have traveled, and maybe kind of what Mark said, maybe we fall into things. But I've always been a helper. I've always been a
Mhm.
server.
Mhm.
I've always
Mhm.
and I've always recognized that I have a responsibility to other people, whether they're related to me or
Yes.
not. I've always known that
Yes.
I'm responsible to society, and I live that till
Mhm.
today because there's no point in everything being about me. And I was telling somebody the other day, I said, if everything was about you, I would think you'd be bored. So I think I have always lived my purpose. I lived it with my family. I served them. I've always served. So I think for me,
Mhm.
I think part of what happens though,
So
especially
have
in this
I.
media savvy world and this media conscious world, we feel if we're not known for what we're doing, then we really don't have a purpose. And that's not true. Is
So
that a
Yes.
lot of people
Y-
live in purpose and are not known for it. Yeah.
I'm curious. So,
Mhm.
Mark, what message would you have for the folks out there who are stuck in a circumstantial situation? Maybe it's a job they're not really crazy about. There's something else they have in mind, but they just have to do this for a little while and just ride the wave until they can do something that they can do and so on and so on. How would you approach that And from your point of view, I'm just curious.
Know that what you're doing right now isn't who you are. I'm an economist. I'm an Ivy League economist. I'm the only man that can tell you why I don't have a job and when I'm going to get one. Okay? But who I am was a DJ who was on WDAS in Philadelphia for 2.5 years, who used to do the Players Ball in New York, was the DJ and the mixer with Timmy Regisford and a whole bunch of other people. I love music. I love other things. What I do is not who I am. And that's really hard for young people. I went to school. I became an economist. I became an accountant. That's who I am. No, that's not who you are.
Isn't that part of who you are, though?
It's what you did. It's what you did.
Let me ask you this, because I'm really curious about you, because you keep repeating it. And maybe from the mind of a therapist.
He's making all of us curious, right?
Yeah, from the mind of a therapist. Do you not believe that who you are influences what you do? And that what you do.
No, I do not.
Okay, no, I do not. So let me ask you this. Now. I'm going to go in a different. So when you're doing what you're doing, if, for instance, if I came to you for some guidance in your field, what you do, I would never pick up anything about you beyond the person sitting in front of me as the auditor. I wouldn't be able to see anything beyond what you're presenting as an auditor. I bet I would.
All you have to do is ask. All you'd have to do is ask. All you'd have to do is ask.
But I wouldn't have to ask.
Okay, if based on what you're saying, then a murderer, that's part of who he is.
But
anything you do wrong, that's part of who you are.
Good and bad.
Anything you do right, that's
good
part
and
of
bad.
who you are.
Good and bad is a part of who we are.
No, I don't believe that.
Well, sir, I'll agree to disagree with you.
An important thing was just said. Somebody said something about asking questions. Many times we have couples who together in a relationship and lack of communication, where one person has absolutely no idea what this other one is passionate about, whether it be in the relationship or in life. And you find people becoming miserable because, once again, they're not walking in their purpose. We have a lot of pretenders. People who pretend to be a certain way to win over a date. You put on a mask. And you go through the relationship wearing the mask. And you're scared to take it off. And then you find out one day the mask fell off and the other person look at you and they love you because now they finally seen the true person under the mask. That's what they wanted all along. What about people who wear masks just to survive, just to go through life and are miserable in life and in relationships?
That's a question for Mark.
That's plenty of us. That's plenty of us.
Listen, there are people who hide. They hide behind text messages. They hide behind a lot of things because some people are actually afraid of being rejected. So they do that. I've been told that I am too upfront. And I remember telling people, I said, I don't wear makeup. I've worn makeup 3 times in my life. And I said, who you see at night is who you see in the morning. Sorry to disappoint you. That's it. So, but that attitude is is right through my life in everything that I do. And if you talk to me, if you see me working, whatever I'm doing, you will see that in me. I think we waste time and we waste a lot of good, valuable time. I have a major issue wasting time. And I see people in relationships that tell each other I remember seeing a couple once in a car. And I said, my God, they don't look like they belong in the same state, much as the same car. I don't do that kind of crazy stuff well. So if I cannot be accepted, and this is a major problem throughout my life, if I cannot be accepted as I am, and I don't force myself, if I'm an impediment to somebody, then they gotta leave. Because I'm not gonna leave. because I don't have a problem with being the way I am. But we live in a society that loves facades. People like me, this guy told me one thing, he said, no, you too real. Me can't bother with that. Well, there's a door and a window, use it. It doesn't make any sense. But we're living in a world. These masks now are helping a lot of people because, they used to wear the psychological mask. Now they're wearing the physical. You know how many divorces? You know how high the divorce rate is now since the COVID-19? Because people have to stay at home and look at each other. And you in a way, say, maybe they're going to say they're late for dinner. You're hoping that they don't come over early. So you have to spend time with them.
What I want to throw into the equation is I remember when I was getting ready to do CXC in the Caribbean, in high school. You guys know what CXC is. Everybody here should know what CXC is.
That was after my time, but
that was after your time.
Yeah, we did GCE.
You did GCE, all right. So which is the same thing, Caribbean Examinations Council, whatever. There was when in my time, which was around the late 80s, we're talking probably maybe 86, 87, around there. The theme, or should I say the advice was, if you could pass 5 subjects, you could get a work with the government. Or there were certain things that was said to us at a certain time that helped to shape how we would view life, or where, how we would, or path that we would take. And I think that might have been like a juncture where it may have worked for some people, but it wasn't going to work for everyone. Because at that juncture, people, are sort of questioning, okay, what am I supposed to pursue? Where am I going to go? What if I don't want to work with the government? What if I want to just take trash out? What if I want to go in a different area in life? What if I want to just do secretarial studies? I want to do shorthand and that kind of thing. So there was sort of like a cut and dry choices that young people had to make at that point. And when you unpack that, or you take that layer off, there were other situations that these people had to deal with. So it sort of steered them in a direction with a chance that they may not have really wanted to go that way, or it might not have been healthy for them to go that route. And I'm thinking from that juncture, it may have affected a few people today as to where they are now. I'm just saying, I want to throw that in the equation.
Yeah, but Sam, I've known you for all the years I've known you, and in reading your bio and stuff like that also, you've always been influenced by music, and you've also been influencing music for your entire life. Was there ever a point in time where anyone tried to steer you away from that?
Many times. The church did.
To steer you away from music?
Yeah, so especially growing up in a conservative church, music, music was, there were so many little rules, that they would get into, don't use these types of chords, and this type of time signature, or this type of rhythm, or syncopation is satanic. And it was a scary it was a scary thing for some of us. Some of us didn't survive it. I survived it because I'm Sam Arch, I'm the original. But there were some people that they were discouraged, and they had some kind of talent, but it was a discouraging thing to grow up in an environment, especially in church. Church was conservative, and you're in an environment of calypso and reggae and all these different things. And then we had we had different religious sects, so some religions, you might have some drumming, and so we'll be in school singing. Well, and I had a double whammy because not only that I went to church, the school I went to was also a church school.
Oh, wow.
Of the same denomination. So, you know, it was like a double whammy, and you're living in this cage, so to speak. So I had to live through that, and then live through the stages of your own parents and family and people close to you. Like,
right,
this is not a real thing to pursue, or this is not a real situation to follow. You know, why don't you do chemistry and bio? And to be truthful, I'm good at chemistry and bio. Musicians are really good at a lot of different multi-level scientific dimensions and all of that. We're good mathematicians and all of that. Yeah. But they didn't consider music a real thing, you know. I was applying for a situation here some years ago, and it had a, what's your occupation, and I put musician. The guy said, no, don't put musician. What else do you do? I said, but this is how I pay my bills. He said, yeah, but you don't put musician there. But what else? I said, well, I'm a teacher. Put teacher, okay, teacher. I mean, that's how it went. So, you know, just imagine that I had to fight for that. I had to fight for that title to say, look, I do music. I'm a composer. I produce. I arrange. I record. You know, I had to fight for that. But some people couldn't, you know, there were some people at the church embarrassed. They had people that got embarrassed in a church setting, and they left the church, and not just left the church, but they left their dreams, in a sense. It was like they left, like, you know, they were messed up in the end.
You said something very interesting.
You know.
Well, I'm glad I'm down here in this corner, because now I really feel like the old man. You're talking about the late 80s. Are you talking about the mid 70s?
Okay. I wasn't close, well, not too far.
I want to address something that Dr. Judith said. When I was in high school here in the United States, what we were most afraid of was not being drafted. Don't get drafted. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your grades at a B, because if you don't get a B, you have no chance of going to post-secondary, and you're going to get drafted. And you're going to end up in Vietnam. All of you going to go, and half of you going to come back.
Woo.
All right? Now, I know a lot of guys that lived in my neighborhood. We used to call it the zip code draft. And if you lived in 11375, which was Bedford-Stuyvesant, you was going to the infantry, and your ass was going to die.
Selective services.
My language. Okay? There were a lot of guys that came, and so I asked Dr. Judith, because you killed somebody, are you a killer? These are gentlemen that for 18 months were killers. Killers. Came back, write poetry, paint, carpenters, this and that. What you do isn't who you are. And sometimes it's not even the smallest piece of you. Not at all. Not at all.
Let me ask you a question, Mark. Sorry to interrupt you. Where does that part come from? That other part? Because I mean, and it's not to try to change your mind, which I don't think that would be possible anyway. But
good, you know.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, sir. I have a brother who was born 3 days before you, and that's the way he is. Anyway, the thing is that we all, the Bible says we're born in sin and shaped in iniquity, which means simply that we all have good and bad in us. The story goes that if we are on an island and there's no water and there's no food and there's two of us, that at some point somebody's going to become a cannibal. There are stories talked about that kind of stuff all the time. So there are parts of the human nature, parts of the human character and being and their minds that we are a conglomeration of a whole bunch of stuff. Some of those things are never realized or seen. The man who's extremely gentle could also be the man who kills you and stabs you 50 times. Mm-hmm. I had a friend, a kind of friend in Florida that I also counseled. This Jamaican guy, he was about 6'5". Part of the problem that he had when he came to America is that he couldn't try to pass for white anymore. Because that happens to a lot of West Indians. In the islands, the light skin take them through and make them very special. And when they come here and white people show them, no, you're still black, they're going to shock. That was one of them. And in his anger and his rage, because now he's a black man, he ended up marrying and I
said mercy.
Yes,
a black man.
And he ended up one day stabbing his mother. I forget how many times, like 30-something times, stabbed her to death. If you saw that man, if you saw him, you would never believe. Because in us is this sinister part of us. I'm capable of great evil. I accept that. I have seen myself respond to people, depending on what they might have done to me, in ways that are not nice. I've seen that in me. And yet, the overriding part of me I don't display those things because I actually like being nice. But I have a part of me that I could hurt somebody. I admit to that.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but what do I have to do with the price of tea in China?
I am saying
that. Say that that's you.
But it's a part. But I'm not trying to get you to agree with me. I'm saying. When you say, I'm just saying it again, that those things are a part of who I am. And I cannot deny, I mean, I could, but I'm not going to deny them. They're there. What happens is the circumstances around me that makes me decide to do them or not to do them.
Or not to do them. Mm-hmm.
So that's just the way I look at it.
Curtis is on mute and he's talking.
I'm on mute. Okay, sorry. Karen, I needed to jump in here. At any point in time, did anybody ever try to push you out of your element to try and make you become something else other than who you are, who you were?
Other than trying to dissuade me from going to culinary school. What's so funny? Other than trying to dissuade me from going to culinary school, in general, I'm what? I disappeared. No, I've been very focused and basically done. I've been very focused and done what I wanted to do. You know, the only time that I had people whispering all types of negative things in my ears and trying to prevent me from doing what I wanted to do was when I decided to do culinary, because they didn't feel that it was good enough for me or whatever their mindset. I can't tell you what they thought. I can only tell you what they told me. You know,
so that mentality could be considered being a rebel, somebody who don't take advice from people. Is that such a?
It's not a matter of taking advice. I don't feel obligated to take your advice.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, some people may view you as a rebel and thinking that you're not taking advice based on what they think is good for you or the direction that they think you're supposed to take in life, as opposed to walking your own path, living in your own purpose. So
one life to live. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So
I believe in living a life of integrity as much as possible.
Is everyone here doing that?
Living a life of integrity?
Yes, living. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a daily thing. It's a daily thing. I think somebody, I don't know if it's Curtis said it last week. I can't remember who said it. It's like, I can't remember exactly what it was said, but in a sense, it was like breaking a promise to yourself. Curtis said that last week, I think. And that's part of integrity to me. If I can't keep my word to myself, who can I keep it to? So that's important. But I wanted to also add this: growing up in the islands, growing up in Jamaica, and being one of a middle child and a girl, and having brothers who are very successful, in broadcasting primarily. Curtis and I went to broadcasting school. I've always known that I'm good at broadcasting. And again, I boast in the Lord. I have the voice for it. I have the intonations. I know how to do what has to be done on the radio, and I love doing it. And part of it is that I guess to some degree I like to be heard, and try to get into it with three brothers who are in it. They don't dissuade you; they just push you aside. So I went through that for many years. That they basically, and they'll tell me like, "Yeah, you're good, but." I'm like, a good but. So the thing is that what it came down to me for a long time, I didn't do what I wanted to do. I didn't know other than being a servant and helping people. I have many facets to me. One of them is broadcasting. One of the gifts that I have is broadcasting. And so I've lived a life where they don't want me nowhere around. I worked for one for about 2 weeks, and he said to me, people were calling up and saying, Mr. Barnes, your sister good enough, man. You must bring her around regular. My guy said to me, I take my job, So I said to myself, what is that?
Go get your own show.
Well, hey. So the thing is that, there are a lot of things, and I Mark disappeared, but I'll say it again. Everything that I do is a part of who I am. And so, and that's good or bad. Good or bad, it's a part of who I am.
Last week, somebody made mention of. They said something to the effect: if you want to go far, I can't remember the quote, but if you want to go by yourself, and if you want to go far, you get help, or you go something. Who made that statement? Was it you, Mark?
I believe so.
What was the exact quote?
The exact quote is: anywhere you want to go, you're going to need help. You're going to need assistance. That's how I had put it.
And communication is one of the most important things in any kind of relationship like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure Mark, as a musician dealing with or as a producer dealing with an artist, in terms of both people gelling and understanding what it is one is expecting from the other. As a healthcare professional, Karen, in terms of what that patient may need and what the patient may want, two opposing ideas in terms of how well you all have to communicate and work together.
You say patient, but I'll just paint a brush across every human being, what you want and what you need, and not necessarily the same
totally
thing.
Different things.
Can I take this? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. I just wanted to say something about this. What I realized in coming up with different things that apply to this topic, I realized that I lost my mom fairly early, and I realized that honoring her memory and the effort she made on my behalf was extremely important to me. So that is such an integral part of why I do what I do over the year, why I've done what I've done over the years. To just honor her. That was like a major part for me. And I think for a lot of people who lose their parents, teens, 20s, and stuff like that, that is extremely important to us. It's either you go far left or far right, but it's very important to me to sort of honor what she has done, because she made a great deal of effort on my behalf. So that was very important.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I just left the camera because my big silly dog, excuse me for saying and putting the truth, there's a drunk white man outside. The dog decided to eat him. Okay? This is a dog that would lick you to death. He don't want nothing. You pet him, roll over on his belly, and pet him big and mean. But the dogs did not like the man laying on the lawn. So the dog went all the way around the backyard, jumped the fence. A 6-foot fence. And I come outside and the dog got the man by the neck on the ground. And the man praying for God. Now, I could sit and say, well, that's what the dog is. That dog don't want to hurt nobody.
But why are you doing it for them? Why are you doing it then? Why is he doing if he don't want to hurt nobody?
He don't want to hurt nobody. He protecting his house.
Oh,
that was the situation. He protected his house.
All right.
House.
All right.
And everybody in it is his back. So he's doing his job. That don't have nothing to do with who he is.
All right, Star.
You believe me, sister. You come bring a nice piece of meat and one hand and he gonna lay right by you, roll over on his belly, and he won't want to hurt you at all. At all.
You wouldn't lay by me anyway. Dog belong outside. Sorry.
But gentlemen, ladies, there's an important part of this subject matter I want to touch on before we get out of here. I asked Sam earlier on about prosperity preachers, the ones who talk about preach prosperity. Which there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But many of us, self-included, I grew up hearing a lot of stuff like money don't grow on trees. Easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven. Mm-hmm. The filthy rich, where rich people were always spoken about in a negative light, where I was taught to believe that if you chase after prosperity and you chase after riches, that somehow you're taking something away from somebody. If you eat well, it means that you're leaving somebody else hungry. But somehow it seems as though other people were eating well because we were the ones left hungry. So these things are crippling. And this is what I started off saying. We go through life holding on to crutches. We go through life with limiting beliefs as to what it is we can achieve, as to how far we can aspire in life. How crippling are these things?
Oh God.
Is prosperity teaching wrong? Is it wrong for us to teach these things to our children that yes, you can excel, yes, you can be rich, yes, possibility thinking? Because trust me, I was crippled by the opposite, by the negative teachings as far as financial matters are concerned. I was crippled with that.
All of us are West Indians that at some point we're in New York.
I am not a West Indian, sir.
I'm sorry, you are West African.
West African, yes.
That's why I straighten myself.
I'm a West African. I'm not a West Indian. In no part of India.
Well, I can't say that. I'm a West Indian. All right. We all grew up in New York at some time. And a couple of weeks ago, you mentioned WWRL. Every Sunday morning, do you remember who came on Super 16, WWRL, and WLIB? Do you remember?
No, I know Bob Law was on WWRL. I can't remember what time he was on.
Sunday morning.
Anyway,
Sunday morning, Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike Rencoder. You don't know what to do with your money. Give it to me. You don't know how to handle your money. And I'm going to give you some money spray and an anointed handkerchief. Amen. Okay, now I'm going to show you how far back I can go. Before him was Daddy Grace.
Yeah, I heard about him.
Daddy Grace. If you make $100 this week, you give me 99.
Aye.
You know why? Because you don't know what God wants you to do with the money. I know. All right. Listen, man. I believe in talking up what you can do with your money. But I don't need nobody to tell me what to do with my money. I grew up in New York, and believe me, you could hear on any radio, if you walked outside of the house and didn't happen to go to church, from every window, Reverend Ike Rencoder from 132nd Street and 7th Avenue in New York City was playing in every window. And everybody had the Indian money spray. Okay, and they had his little handkerchief stuff right here. You see women on the bus, they spray it with whatever cologne or whatever and put it right there so they could. You had Reverend Ike's right there. That man made, and look, you turn on WWRL, who's on there right now? His son. Tell you the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Generational curse.
What is it? What is it? What is it that make us as a people gravitate towards these pimps and hustlers? What is it makes these pimp and hustlers pose as preachers and deliver this prosperity salvation teaching to these puppets? Why do they do the things that they do? Now, even though we see these people and they can realize on this for themselves that they are being duped, they realize that they're being robbed. People are still talking to them, but yet still like sheep, they follow these people. Why?
Let me tell you something. I'm an ordained minister. I preached on the staff here in Georgia for about a year. And one morning I was speaking before the main pastor came on. And there were like 3 pastors, ministers who were on staff, and every other weekend one of us would preach. And everywhere I go, I can honestly say this, every church that I'm in and wherever, they make fun of me. You know why they make fun of me? Because I take all this very seriously. Now, I'm not into religion, but I'm into a relationship with God. That works for me. And I'm not broken, and I'm not poor, and I'm not suffering. I do pretty well. And so I was talking to whatever it is I was talking to the congregation about. And this nutcase behind me, minister, go ahead, Doc Barnes, go ahead, rev them up. I turned and I looked at him. I was like, the look I gave him, I think he wanted to die right there. Rev up, boom. I don't rev up people. The Holy Spirit in me does a job, but I don't rev people up. Because what has happened, and this is one of my worst things to talk about because I get extremely upset about it. Because what ends up happening is like what Mark was saying. People start focusing on the money aspect of it. I tithe 10% of my salary. And I can tell anybody, I have no need for anything. I'm not hungry. I'm not suffering. And since I'm not going to church anymore, I tithe it to individuals who have needs, who have genuine needs. I tithe it to them. I'll break up my tithe sometimes in 3 different places, depending on who I know has a need. I have never lost because I tithe. It is something that I love to do. It's part of the relationship that I have with God. But people that go to church and they don't live, the whole week, you don't hear mention about God. But Sunday come and all the screaming and the hollering and the stuff. And the church that I used to go to, the pastor basically told me to belong to like an in group. Worst thing to tell me, because I'm always an out girl. So if you're going to tell me to be an in group, you're talking to the wrong person. So there was a fee to pay every month to be a part of this group. So I decided I ain't going back to none of those meetings. I ain't stupid now. God gave me good sense. I do not waste money. I don't play with money. And so he asked me to come and have a meeting with him. And he asked me, well, I understand. I said, sir, you mentioned that there's a fee to pay. I said, I'm blunt. And he said to me, oh, I never said that. Oh, yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. No, pastors don't play with me. I don't have the time for it. But one of the things they told me on staff when I was working on staff at this church in Atlanta, they basically said to me, in essence, you're too serious about this.
But Judith, he said a fee. How you know he was talking about money?
No, he mentioned money. He mentioned a total.
Oh,
he mentioned a figure.
Money. Okay, all right.
He mentioned a figure. Listen to me. Don't be rude and scandalous.
Don't take anything at face value.
Listen, let me tell you something. Now, you know what West Indians do when they hold your hand and they take the finger and tickle you in their hand? A white pastor did that to me here in Georgia.
He wasn't talking about money.
Well, I know that. So, but the thing is that we have to be careful. I have to be careful of. I have to be careful. I can't tell anybody else what to do. Is that I do not lump everybody together. Because in Matthew chapter 6, 33 and 34, it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Now, I don't, like I tell people, I don't say things to convince anybody. I know how I live. I know where I came from. I know how I'm living now. And I can tell anybody, I am grateful that I formed a relationship with God Almighty. I am grateful. It's not a church thing. It's a relationship thing. And I have need for nothing. As a matter of fact, when it talks about, the Bible talks about opening up the windows of heaven and pouring a blessing, guys, I'm getting some serious blessings. And I can tell anybody, I am not necessarily getting things because I pursue it. Things come to me. And I'm talking about money as well as other things. Now, when you say that to me, like, oh, you don't have to agree with me. I'm living it. But I'm not the type of person that you see running around the church. I'm not going to be screaming and hollering. I don't do those things because that's not what this is about. But pastors know that's part of what they do to get people to give them their money. People
not all of them run. Hello. Not all of them run. I see some of them swimming without water. They're swimming all the way up the aisle.
I will say this. I'm very lucky.
I've seen stuff on YouTube where this is going on. This is big now in Nigeria. The pastor have the people them outside the church eating grass. The grass outside with dog poop on, with all kind of bacteria. God. People walk
and whose fault is that?
This is my point. That's right. Why do people do the things they do?
Lack of knowledge of people perish. People don't know their history. They don't know who they are. They have no idea who they are. And they listen to anybody with a Bible in their hand. And pastors, what they do, let me tell you something. Pastors like ignorant members. They want people who don't read the Bible. You understand? Because they take it and even this election, I know you guys don't want to talk about it. Pastors take the Bible and they use it even in this election to twist things around. And every one of them come at me. White, especially the white ones. I turned them behind around and said, do not play with me.
Karen, you want to start a church?
I'm sorry?
You want to start a church?
Better behave yourself.
Do I want to
start a church?
No, so if you want to start a church, because somehow people, I call them sheeple, they have no understanding as to why they behave the way they do, why they keep doing these things. They follow people blindly.
And worthless and lazy.
Yeah, laziness is a big part of it because they're too lazy to educate themselves. They're too lazy to read as to what, or to even find out how they're supposed to live as a human being.
I suddenly feel very, very fortunate. First of all, I don't bring my particular. I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. I went to Hebrew school. My mother was Jewish. My father was a Catholic. But my father was a funny man. He believed in health insurance. Get there, I told you the story. You get there 6 o'clock in the morning. He gave us each $5. He put that in the poor box, like 2 candles over there. Let's get the hell out of here before the man start talking. We pay our premium for the week. We're done. So I got no religion from him. All of my religion came from my mother. I went to Hebrew school. I speak Hebrew. I am a Jew. I do not keep a kosher household because if God getting mad at me for eating pork or shellfish or fish without, well, he just gonna have to be mad because I ain't starving. Okay. However, all of this, I never was subject to it because all I had to do was do my mitzvahs. In other words, treat my fellow man well. Do him well. I ain't going to hell. I'm not going to heaven either. Because neither one of them are there. I'm going to die. That's it.
But Karen, I'm trying to find out something. In terms of where this whole religious concept and thing is concerned, why do you do the things you do? Or don't
because
do
I do what I do to be of service. And that's how we started this conversation. I do what I do to the individual, to the community. I give up myself. And that is what I think religion started out with that basic premise, and then it became more about the institution than the belief system. I think you need to walk your talk. Go out there, help that person who needs help. Basic for me.
I'm going to Karen's church.
I don't need to go into a building. Pardon me?
I'm going to Karen's church. Preach, sister.
You're not one of those that believe in the giving of the money to the institution for them to do the good.
You and I were joking recently about how people always talk about I found God. God was not lost. God was not lost. You found God, or looking up for God. God is all around you if you truly believe in something higher than yourself.
Well,
preach, sister.
Hallelujah.
Don't get me started. Anyway,
well,
how we
the boy could sing, The boy.
Do you believe?
The boy could sing.
Anyway, Curtis, I want to pose this to you because I've seen you do it, but you haven't mentioned it tonight. Your love and respect for family seems to be what motivates you primarily and has for decades. Your love of your family, especially your children, seems to be your greatest motivation, and you haven't even delved into that, which I'm so surprised. And we have discussed a love for not just generational wealth, creating generational wealth, but also linking it to generational health. I think all those things are so strong and need to be intertwined.
As far as that love for family and love for my children, I was raised by my grandmother. At the age of 6, my mother migrated to the United States looking for that better life for us back there. My father, I can count the amount of times that I've met with him in my life. And each encounter was sad or bad, to say the least. I have no pleasant memories of the man. And also hearing the negative things being put into my ears growing up, oh, you just like your father, or you look just like, and it was always said in a negative light. So the thought that I look like this man who others despised wasn't a pleasant thing for me. And yet still, when I met the man, I didn't see myself in him at all. I was always tall. He was a short man. I couldn't see how he was my father. So I felt no connection to him.
Easy on the short people, man.
I felt no connection. Hold on, let me work my way into this.
Okay.
I felt no connection to him.
You're working your way. All right.
Yeah. I felt no connection to this man who supposed to have been who I came from. Zero. And I took pride in seeing my face in my own children. I took pride in giving my children the opportunity to know me, the essence of who I am as a person, the essence of who I am as a father, because that is something I lacked. As a child growing up, I never had an elder above me, not an uncle, not a father, not a stepfather, anybody to guide me and say, this is right, this is wrong. This is what you're supposed to do as a young man. This is what you're supposed to do as a man. This is what you're supposed to do as a male. I had none of that growing up. Okay. So in terms of motivation, I want to make sure that I am there. I am there to do that where my children are concerned.
You're motivated to be who he wasn't.
Okay, yes, because I had a fine example of what a father is not supposed to be. I told my children, the first 4, I got them together one night and I said, I started from the big one and I said, when you were born, you didn't come with a list of instructions as far as what I'm supposed to do. I could only go on what it is I learned, my experiences, and what I made up along the way as far as how I'm supposed to be a father, because there was no playbook for me. There was no rule book. There was no reference to draw from. as far as what I'm supposed to do as a father. So I said to them, I will do a lot of things and I'll get it wrong. I'll get it wrong, but I'm doing the best that I can with the tools that I had at the particular time. And as I helped put them together, I said, but what I need for you all to do is to join together as these 4 siblings and don't let anyone from the outside come and set you all apart. And I remember having some sticks, the sticks from the flags. And I took the flag off and I had the sticks and I gave one to the big son and I said, break it. Snap. And then to the next one. Snap. All 4 of them hit on the leg and they broke the piece of stick. And I had some more. I took out 4 pieces now and I said, now break this. And they couldn't break it. And before I even get a chance to speak on it, they say, yes, Daddy, I understand. I see what it is you're saying. Together, we unified. If we stick together, nobody can break us apart. I didn't learn this from anybody. That was just my lesson at that point in time.
And it was a good one.
So what it is I didn't have is what it is I try to pass on to them. That is what motivated me and what motivates me even now where my 3 younger boys are concerned. There was a part 2 to your question. I forgot.
Karen.
No, there was no part 2.
Yes, there was.
No, there was not.
When you look back at the tape, you're going to see. All right.
Because
you know, what you're saying is very...
Yeah, I get the question.
Very much where I started. You were doing what you needed to do and being who you needed to be at the time. Look, my 3 oldest, my son's birthday is today. It's his 38th birthday.
Oh, wow.
I was sitting talking to him, which is why I came on at exactly 9:30. I was talking to him. And, you know, I said, you know, I'm sorry, you know, when you're a little boy, I used to beat your ass. You know, when you got to be 15, I used to beat your ass again because you were 6'6" and you weighed 240 pounds and you couldn't play like little white boys that were out there like you. I didn't want you to get hurt. And he said, I used to resent that because you would treat Rachel very differently because she was light and she could go anywhere she wanted to. I said, yes, everything's anecdotal. Everything's anecdotal. You do what you have to do with the situation you're in.
Okay, so Mark, in what you're saying right now, please give us your closing statements on this particular subject matter as to why you or we do the things we do.
We do the things we do because we need to. We are who we are because that's what we've inherited. It's our inheritance. It's our DNA. But one does not coincide with the other. If you want to be who you are, you have that ability. It may take a while, but it has nothing to do with what you do. You're a fine furniture maker. I wish I had you up here. I want somebody to make me some furniture. You know, I wish I could do it, but I can't. It's not who I am. And it's not what I do. But it's not who you are either. So I'll close with that.
Miss Barnes.
Excuse me.
Yes, you.
And again, what is it now? Wrapping up. Why do I do what I do? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do you do what you do?
I really, all I can say is that I kind of know what I have to do. I knew it as a young child. I know what I'm here for. I know my purpose. And I do it every chance I get. And sometimes I do it against a lot of odds, against a lot of protests, but I am convicted by what I'm supposed to do, and I do it. Sometimes I do really well, and sometimes I don't do it that good. But I am very, very, very fortunate. And I can say it's not just, I choose, and that's a very important word for me. I choose to do what I'm called to do. I love, and I've learned how, as they say, if you get lemons, you learn to make lemonade. I don't fuss with life a lot. Whatever circumstances I find myself in, I'm able to do something positive out of it. And people say, how did you do that? Because I don't struggle with life. It's foolish to struggle. For me, it's foolish to struggle with life. But basically, I know what I'm on this earth for. And I've been doing it even since a little child. So I call myself very highly favored. That's it.
Man.
Karen?
Being of service. Being of service. Living a life of integrity. Being authentic. That's why I do what I do.
Sam, I know you like to make people dance, but I know it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
Some look like you have too much to drink or a spliff.
Yeah, little vibes tonight. You know what I mean? Little stuff here. So why do I do? It's just part of my whole vibe. It's just part of the vibe, man. I was interviewing a guy 2 weeks ago, and he just said life is a journey, and life. I'd agree with him. Life is a journey, and I like doing things. I like. Where are we? Dr. Judith, you all right? I like doing things. Yes, sir.
Sam, what's going on right now? Without the glasses, your eye looks small. So, and it looks like you're
Yeah. We're just in the vibes tonight, man. We're in the vibes tonight, man. So I like doing things, and I like to see them come to life. I like to see. I like to see things come to fruition. And I like when Karen said she pursued something in honor of one of her parents. One of the reasons why I went, actually 2 reasons why I went back to school. I remember when I was graduating from New York City Tech, my dad was still alive, and he said, "So you're going to get a bachelor's?" I said, "Well, I think I've taken a year off." And I actually did more than that. I got married, had children, did all types of stuff. It just got crazy. And if I had to do it again, I'll do it again. I mean, I was even telling my daughter, if I didn't decide to take that year off, you mightn't be here. But I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that I decided to take the year off, which it was really more than a year. When they counted the time, and it's you make decisions, choices, and you're here. And when I went home to teach in 2007, I was in the environment of teachers, an environment of education, an environment of, and I say, I was supposed to go back to school. So my mom was still alive at that time. And I say, no, let me get back in the mix. And I think hanging out with a lot of education, it reawoke the appetite. And that's how I ended up going to Full Sail doing my music business degree. And, my mom was very, very pleased that I did something again, and I remember taking I took my laptop down with the video where I'm receiving my my certifications, and I was even surprised at my graduation that I was a valedictorian. They kind of snuck that one up on me. I had 5 director course awards and things of that nature. And she was very, very pleased. It was just nice to see her response after, achieving, my bachelor's at that time. So, it's all in the vibes, man. It's just all in the vibes. Sometimes you just have to roll with it. You just have to roll with it. If the wave coming, just dive. You know what I mean? And you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those who can beat pan.
Yeah, just work with it, man. Just be in the
those
vibes.
Who can beat pan.
Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, all of that. So back to you, boss.
Yes, sir. For me, like I said, I just began to feel like I'm walking in my purpose. I just began to feel as though I'm living my dreams, making a lot of things materialize that somehow I just left on the back burner, left on the shelf for many years. Why I did some of the things I did, I have no idea. Or maybe I do know. Waiting on approval from peers, waiting on approval from a spouse. Somehow always looking for validation from those closest to me. And I came to a realization that I can't do that anymore. I just have to throw stuff out there, throw caution to the wind, and stop worrying about what other people think, how other people feel. Is either you love it or you don't. It's either you accept it or you don't. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's the point I am in life right now. And I do believe that everyone, you need to have a dream first in order to make that dream come true. So many of us have yet to find our purpose and then wonder why it is we wander through life like some generality as opposed to something specific. You have to find your purpose in life, find that dream. Don't chase it, stalk it. Stalk that dream, run it down.
What?
Yeah, run it down. Don't sit and wait for things to fall in your lap. It's not gonna happen. I believe it was who was it? This poet. Was it Langston Hughes that spoke about what happens to a dream deferred?
To a dream deferred.
Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun?
In the sun?
That's right.
And then run. Does it shrink like rotten meat or crusted sugar over like a syrup sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. What happens to a dream deferred? I said this before, the richest place on this earth is a cemetery.
Cemetery, that's right, brother.
People die with that book that never been written, that song that has never been sung, that race that has never been run. Mm-hmm. As parents, we have to stop killing dreams in our children and stop trying to live vicariously through them. Stop pushing children into going to be doctors and lawyers because that's what you wanted to be. Amen. And somehow you didn't pursue it.
Amen.
Somehow your dream died somewhere along the road, and now you're forcing your child to be a lawyer because you didn't get a chance to be a lawyer. These soccer moms, I see them. I see parents who push their child into beauty pageants and have some 8 and 9-year-old girls walking around looking like adults with all this makeup and weave and stuff on because you were overweight and you didn't get a chance to be a beauty pageant queen like you dreamed of. Stop pushing your dreams onto other people. Live your own dream. It's yours to live, no one else. And let children spread their wings. Let them grow. Let them shine and live their own life. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank each and every one of the callers, each and every one of the people who tuned in to the broadcast this evening. As always, we welcome you. We urge you to continue supporting us. And I have to drive this point home. Go to that YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment on what you think about this show. I know you love me if you do that. Yeah, I know you love me, say so. I'm not humble at all. I'm gonna say
don't
Don't make me took on my coffee, man. Come on now.
Don't hurt yourself, man.
Boy.
I know they love me. I'm gonna say, tell me you love me. I know you love me.
You gonna start singing DJ Rogers now.
However you feel about these other gentlemen, say that. You know.
Dr. Henry, excuse me. Are we going to mention Saturday?
Oh, I leave that. Go ahead, Karen.
No. We're supposed to be here Saturday at 2:00.
I leave it for the greater minds who have more retention than I do.
Oh, please.
Oh Lord.
To give people a reminder.
Saturday is the 24th, right?
Correct.
Yeah, before
at 2 p.m.
Go ahead.
No, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?
Yes.
Okay. I just thought you would mention it to the viewers or listeners or whatever.
Karen, you hearing us properly?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we were talking about the event for Sunday. No, but we don't know. I think Sister.
Well, we haven't finalized everything, so we plan to do that behind the scenes.
Okay, so stay tuned, folks.
You can let.
You'll hear. Yeah, we'll hear. We'll put an official word out. But I also want us to remember Delroy. He lost his mom.
Oh, wow.
We want to send condolences to him and the family. And we just wanted to just send our love to him and just remember him and his family at this time. All right. Okay.
Yes, condolences from the Henry family to Mr. Delroy's son and his family. Condolences from the feedback staff and everyone here.
Mm-hmm.
Feel your pain, brother. We have all experienced that same loss at one point in time in our lives, and I can't say I feel your pain. It's different for each of us, but I understand because I've walked that road.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So once again, if no one has anything else to add as far as today's meeting, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming in on this insightful conversation and giving your contribution. Once again, this is Curtis Henry on behalf of Caribbean Feedback. See you all Saturday for another insightful conversation. And you said
at 2 p.m.
See you all Saturday at 2 p.m. We are extending the conversation on colorism. We're having a bigger panel discussion on that particular subject matter. And for anyone listening, if you'd like to be involved, please hit us up. Let us know. What's the email address, anyone? What's the email address? CaribbeanFeedback@gmail.com.
Caribbean, yes.
CaribbeanFeedback@gmail.com. Drop us a line and let us know if you'd like to be involved in that conversation in any way, shape, or form. And once again, thank you all for joining us. Panel, I love you all. Peace.
Bless.
Namaste.
Bless. Oh.